In this episode of Sailing Dark Angel, we finally tackle our malfunctioning LoFrans Tigres Windlass at Black Point Settlement. A thorough cleaning and reinstallation frees us up to sail north to Big Majors Cay, where an anchor dive gives up a prize.
If you like our videos, please smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. It's free for you and really helps our channel. What are we doing today, Captain Dave?
Well, today we're going to try again to fix our long-suffering windlass. I was given some advice by someone who apparently is very familiar with the LoFrans Tigres Windlass that you can actually service the brushes without taking the motor off of the winch. And it's the winch that has the 90 weight oil in it, and if I take the motor off, I need to drain that 90 weight oil and then replace it. And we can't find 90 weight oil. We're in the Bahamas. So I'm going to pull the back off of this, see if I can get the bottom off the motor, and see if we can't clean up the brushes, and maybe that'll fix our windlass. You know what I didn't bring out was the mallet.
Would you like me to go get the mallet?
Maybe.
Do you know where the mallet is? Offhand?
Might not need it. So one of the big advantages of the LoFrans Tigres Windlass over a whole lot of other windlasses is the fact that the motor is above the deck, not below the deck where it would be grabbing salt water as it comes in off the chain. So a lot of windlasses get destroyed because the motor is down below, and as you bring the chain in, it's bringing all that salt water and dumping it all over your connections and all over your motor. This one doesn't have that issue because the motor's up here. So here's your electric motor. Here's our positive and negative feed lines. This is our winch. We've got a rope side, we've got a chain side. Ours has a gypsy on it for H1B chain. We obviously need our chain regalvanized. If I was to take this motor right off, we would need to take these 3 bolts off and pull the motor back, but that would drain all the oil. I'm going to try to just take the bottom part off the motor, which means I got to take these off. And
We've had them off before though, right?
Yeah, but look at how nice and clean they are. Because there's a seal on here, which we need. Actually, that seal's in really good shape. It's got a little bit of an issue right here, but we need to replace this seal later because there's an issue here. But this seal and this housing keep all of this completely isolated from any kind of rain, salt water, any kind of exposure. So everything stays nice and clean. But inside a low voltage...
Are you really going to leave that there and not put it into the bucket?
Yeah, because then I got to try and fish it out.
All right.
Inside of a low voltage 12 volt motor with brushes, you're going to get a lot of dust from the brushes. And according to my source, who was very helpful, they said that that is going to be the issue. The brushes, they're packed solid from dust from the motor.
Interesting.
Which makes them stick. And that could be our issues. We very, very much like this windlass, so we really want to get it working again. And later on, I got to take this clutch side assembly apart and get it fixed up.
We haven't had this part off though, have we? No. You might want to get the...
Gonna need a mallet for that, probably.
Yeah. I'm gonna go get the mallet.
Okay.
Let's go get the mallet.
Why don't you go get the mallet?
Dip. Might be in here. Okay, so we're gonna have to hold on a minute. Found it.
Okay.
Here you are, Captain Dave. Is it moving at all?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
There we go.
Look at the dust on the bottom. Look at that.
You're saying there might be some dust in it?
Oh, there's another cat in here.
Somebody else snuck in?
I didn't even see it sneak in.
Cats are sneaky that way.
Cats are so sneaky because we still got this one over here.
They snuck way in.
Yeah, and then this one over here. But we're closer to the place that we want to be anyway. What was that noise?
That was the clip coming off the magnet. See, this is a spring clip. It
Yep.
holds the magnet in place. The magnet won't even come out.
So what are you using now, Captain Dave?
It's just an electronics compressed gas. Basically, it's just air. Just gonna blow it out. See that?
Yep.
You weren't fooled any more than I was, were you?
Pardon me?
But this is a little job.
Oh no, I didn't think for an instant it was a little job. Not for 1 second. I knew it was going to be nothing but BS. This windlass has been nothing but BS.
Just this year, it's worked really good up until now. Need the right tools for the job and a really piss poor attitude to get it done.
So why do you do that? A little at a time on each side.
So it's even torque. So stuff doesn't fall apart on me, and so I don't lose any pieces. All of which could still happen.
Wow, that's long.
Yeah, I don't often hear that.
Woo! Oh wow, look at that.
This whole thing now can go to the back.
So this wasn't what you were hoping for.
Actually, this makes it easier than what I thought.
So what are you doing? Do you need me to hold anything while you're doing
I'm
that?
just going to give it a quick spray. Okay, so you can see each of these brushes is held in place by a spring. And these brushes all have to come out and be put in after. But you can see where the springs are, and they're preloaded, and that's what's holding the brushes down in place. So I have to get this spring that fell out and preload it to put it back where this brush goes.
Do you think it was necessary in the first place to take that spring out or no?
Yeah, no, the spring shouldn't have come out. It fell off when I undid it.
Oh, crap.
It wasn't supposed to. So now I got to find a way to preload it and get it back onto this post.
Right.
These two brushes are pushed all the way in.
Yeah.
And this one is sitting way out. It's supposed to be in like the other ones. It's not sliding back and forth, and that's what's causing the motor to fail.
Okay.
Just peel that out of the way and then take the brush out.
And that's what those little tiny boxes are, or brushes? Those little...
That little rectangular thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a magnet. It's an electromagnet.
But you call it a brush?
Yep, that's what it's called.
More than I ever wanted to know.
So you take the brush out, peel the spring back.
And hold the spring back with the screwdriver.
Yeah, but there's a lot of torque on that. That's what I was trying to gauge, is just how much torque is on that spring.
Is there a lot of torque on it?
It's a lot.
So getting the other one back in is going to be a bitch, isn't it?
Yeah, because I got to apply all that torque to it. So be very careful when you're taking these springs out. This is the spring that holds the brush. You got to get in behind it, hold it in place, and then take the brush off. If you don't hold the spring, it can jump off of the little pin it's sitting on. Ow. See how it's just sitting on a pin here? It's hitting that wire. This little bar that it's sitting on is what keeps it loaded. And if you pop it off like I did with this one, the spring is now no longer loaded, and you got to find a way to preload it to put it back on. Peel that back off of the brush and then just lift the brush out.
Okay.
Now my only issue with doing it this way without taking the entire motor off is how am I going to get the motor back on, this housing back onto the armature, and then that just about sprung off, and then get these brushes back in. Brushes don't want to come out because they're all gummed up, which is the problem in the first place. There. So now that is, the spring is still wound up and it's up against this bar. So when I want to put the brush back in, I just peel that back, peel the spring back, put the brush back in, which is really simple, except that it's going to be underneath the motor as I'm trying to slide it back on. So that'll be a challenge. So I managed to put that little spring back together, preloaded. All it took was a little brute force and obstinance. There's no way I could have done it without having the motor off. So be very, very careful when you take those springs off. Now, putting it back on is not going to be a huge issue. I've cleaned it up inside. I've cleaned the brushes. I've cleaned where the brushes slide. We've blown it out, vacuumed it out, wiped it out, and I did the same for the armature that's still up on the motor that you'll see in a minute. But the hard part is going to be when this is in place, these two bottom ones will have to be installed after it's back on the motor.
Okay.
So that'll be fun.
Okay, so what are we doing now?
Now we're going to see if we can put it back together. So check this out. Watch your chain.
Ah. Right. Okay.
Now we've got to get this in place. And we're being waked. Now there's rubber tubes that these slide into to insulate them, so don't lose those when you take it apart. Just big long sleeves. How this thing can stand to wear long sleeves in this heat, I don't know. I'm not going to snug everything super tight yet. Yeah, this is going to be exciting.
There's that word again.
I'm going to take these out so I can see. So we'll do the bottom brushes first because they're the hard ones. Oh, there it is. In you go. That's one. Next I gotta get that one. Oh, there it is. It's two. Feels good when it first slides in, doesn't it? That's two. So this clip here has to come up out of the way. And then the brush slides in behind it into that slot.
Okay.
Okay. And if the spring comes off that little post it's wrapped around, it's no longer loaded.
Stop.
Oh, then I got to take the whole motor apart so I can reload it, reinstall it.
Don't do that.
I'm gonna try not to. Try not to pinch the wires with the spring. So when I flipped this off last time, it just popped right off that post, which it's not supposed to do. See, that goes into that pocket. Now in theory, this motor should work.
It's not pushed up.
No, it's got to be screwed in. Genuine snap-on ratchet. How's that looking?
Yep, tighter now.
Snugging right up, but you do it side to side so you apply even torque. You don't want to twist anything. No. Remember the rule, don't force it, get a bigger hammer. And the proper torque on these screws is to turn it until it strips and then back off a quarter turn. That's the universal measure of torque. Get a new seal for this when we get back to the States. Acorn nut, because this thing's squirrely. Next. All right, so it's all back together now. Now I got to hook the solenoid block back up and test it. Here's the ultimate test.
Here is the test. Going down. Going up.
Smooth as silk. All right, that's a wrap. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. So what are we doing today, Captain Dave?
We are successfully hauling anchor and leaving Black Point.
Woo! The windlass works! Yay!
The windlass worked.
Yeah. It's a good day. So, bye, Black Point. We'll miss you. We love you. We're leaving.
It got weathery last night, and so we're burning a little more generator gas than we like to, so we're gonna get to Staniel Cay and stop up on some all-important milk for coffee and some gas for the generator.
Maybe even some diesel.
Maybe some diesel.
Lucky lady. Right, she's lucky to be out here in the mall. So what's happening now, Captain Dave?
Racing the storms to the anchorage.
We sure are. What anchorage are we going to?
We're going to Big Majors Cay.
Yes, we are, sir.
That's Staniel Cay behind me, where it's raining.
It's rain. Bad rain.
It's ugly rain.
And that's ugly rain. And rain. And we're trying to beat the rain. There's a lot of excitement going on. Did I use that word right?
You used it correctly.
Okay. So we're coming in. We're gonna anchor somewhere in there somewhere, probably closest to Cruisers Beach as we can get, over at Big Majors, where all the big yachts are.
So Lisa's going to go in and do an anchor check and make sure that we're going to be safe if we do get spun around.
Creepy as shit.
Is that?
It's dug right in. Right into sand. It ain't moving. A towel. I'm gonna bring it back.
That's just something to hook up in an anchor.
Uh-huh.
It's a little damp.
But